It's human nature to try to figure out who we are, our place in this world. Some of us start out really early on knowing who we are, and other of us take a little bit more time. I'm probably more of the latter folks. We start out with birth. We're given a name, an identity. We're given a gender. Then we go on to figure out our place in our family, whether we're the firstborn or the middle kid. Onto that is figuring out where we fit in our schools and career and life in general. And working out all these places of where we fit, sometimes we need some specific identifiers. LGBTQIAP. Sure, it's a lot of letters, but let me just run them down for you. We have lesbian, gay, genderqueer, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, androgynous, pansexual, and polyamorous. Now, I can't promise that the list will stop there. I guarantee it'll probably grow. Currently, the collective we in my community like to use the term LGBTQ. Now, some other terms that you may or may not be familiar with is sexual orientation. It's simply how one person is attracted to somebody else. For example, being straight, being bisexual, being gay or lesbian. Gender identity, however, is how one identifies with their gender. So, for example, cis female, cis male, transgender, non-binary. And cisgender, as in cis male or cis female, is somebody who identifies with the gender they were assigned at birth. So, born male identifies male, born female identifies as female. Now that that's covered, I want to run down kind of my process for my personal alphabet and trying to figure out my identity. I tried the straight thing for a while. Obviously, that didn't work very well. I thought, well, so the S doesn't fit. What about bisexual? I'm like, no. Maybe I'm a lesbian. That still didn't fit. Transgender, questioning, all these things. And then I land on a big old Q. It's one of my favorite words. It's queer. It has been reclaimed by the LGBTQ community. I like it in its fluidity. I like it because it simply is what it is. I'm attracted to other queer folk. I myself don't identify as either cis male or cis female. And the gender binary system is one that I like to bounce around in. When we find those letters, when I figured out the Q, the next step is coming out. Can you say who we are, who I am, who I'm attracted to, what kind of people I like to be around, sort of thing. Some of us, it's easier to come out than others, as opposed to straight folks who don't feel the need to come out. They don't have to worry about bias or being harassed or targeted for being straight. However, LGBTQ people, queer folk, do have to deal with those fears and those stigmas. So it's a little harder. However, when we do finally get there and we do come out, it's an amazing affirmation of who we are. Now, everybody's coming out story is different, and each individual person is their road to coming out on their own. It's not for you to come out for them. It's not for me to come out for them. It's for each individual person and each individual person's journey. I as I said, took a little bit longer to come out. I was raised by a very religious family, and I was taught that being gay, being lesbian, being queer was bad, it was evil. It was literally a one-way ticket to hell. That scared me. I was so scared. I was like, surely I can be straight, because I want to be able to fit in, and I definitely don't want to go to hell. So I tried the straight stuff. I tried to be the girl, the cis female I was supposed to be. I wore dresses, I had long hair, I wore makeup. I knew my place. I filled all the cis female roles I was supposed to play. I was actually, in fact, married to a cis man for 6 years. And after all that, look at me now. Do you think it worked? No. Hi, my name is Myke, and I'm a queer. When I did finally come out, I was 26, divorced, and a single parent. Being a parent and encouraging my child to be who she is, it kept encouraging me to be who I am. So after my wife and I got together, we would go to PTA meetings. Guess what we had to do? Come out. Go to soccer games. Oh, got to come out there. Even birthday parties. You would be amazed at how many kids showed up at my daughter's 8th birthday party, because they were happy to be in her birthday party, but they were also very interested in queer parents. I mean, our house looks just like everybody else's. We do kind of the same things. We eat at the kitchen table, and we have chores and things of that nature. One of the comments I get often is, "Oh, okay, so this is your sister?" "No, I don't think that's legal." "Oh, well, so which one of your daughters is yours and which one is hers?" They're both ours. We're a single unit family. We kind of all come together in a package, just not one goes here and one goes there. At work, the pictures on my desk, "Oh, these are your daughters. Yeah, thank you. They're beautiful, thanks. So what's your husband's name? What does he do?" "Well, I have a wife. She goes to school, she works." "Oh, so which one is yours and which one is hers?" Again, apparently my children's parentage is very important. Just so you know, both of my daughters are both of ours. And even though I have to come out over and over and over again, I feel like it's important to continue to come out over and over and over again, to tell my story. Now, for some of us, coming out is even more difficult because we are told from families and friends in school, in church, that we aren't worth much consideration, that we need to be changed, that who we are isn't okay or good. Did you know that teens, LGBT teens, are 2 to 3 times more likely to commit suicide? And when their families don't accept them, those numbers increase, double, triple. 50% of homeless youth are homeless specifically because their family kicked them out for being who they are. In 2016, 22 in the US, 22 transgender people, mostly people of color, were murdered for being transgendered. And in 2017, the number is 19. I know the numbers look rough, and they are. It's honesty right there in front of you. But despite the hate, and despite the stigma, and despite the violence, we still keep coming out. We're still here, we're still telling our stories. I find that ultimately the best way for me to be a good queer, to be a good LGBTQ person, is to love and support and do my best to show youth and folks out there that there's love here, there's acceptance here. And if they can't find it at home or at school, at church, I'll give you my address. I'll meet you for coffee. There's a little bar called 1969 called Stonewall, where a group of patrons, drag performers, staff said, hey, you know what? We're tired of the police raids and we're tired of the harassment. We're going to stand up and fight. And they did. They stood up against the police raid. And from that moment started the LGBTQ equality movement. And since then, it hasn't stopped. It hasn't slowed down. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Legislation has changed. Recently, in 2015, same-sex marriage was passed. This specifically allowed my workplace to be able to allow me to cover my family, my entire family, under my health insurance, eye insurance, dental insurance. We can actually go visit each other in the hospital now without special documents. And if I were to pass away, my wife can have all my assets without any additional financial burden. That's improvement, right? That's great. There's a project called It Gets Better. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's videos and correspondence between people that talk about it gets better. And it's more specific to LGBTQ youth and saying, hey, keep at it. It does get better, and you do have love and support here. One of my favorite ways of showing support in my community, as was mentioned in my intro, is that I work with Tennessee Valley Pride. We're an organization that puts on our big Pride Festival in Chattanooga every year. And actually, Chattanooga Pride has only been out for about 9 years. Prior to that, we met in a little federal park in a field out in the middle of nowhere. I don't think there was a single rainbow flag until you actually were standing on the grass. 9 years later, guess where we are? We're right smack in the middle of downtown, right by the river. All the rainbows, all the support, 3,500 people. That's progress. I get some of my favorite stories from doing Pride. I get people walking up to me telling me, hey, this is my first Pride, or I've been doing this for 40 years and I love doing this. This is so much fun. Or this is the one day out of the whole year where I get to be myself. Or a little one, I say little one, a teenager comes walking up to me, rainbows all over their face, painted, says, hey, I so wish I could take that rainbow flag home. But if I did, my parents would disown me. But for today, I can have it all over my body. And one of my favorite comments, and it's one of the reasons why I keep participating and keep coming back, is, hey, Myke, there are people here just like me. I'm so glad that space can be available, that person can feel like, hey, there's other people here I can relate with. There's adult versions of what I hope to be. Recently, a group of us have put together called a Adulting 101 workshop, where we work with GSAs, Gay Straight Alliance groups. And they pretty much want to talk to us about how we adult as queers, how we apply for jobs, maybe our stories that we came out. At some point, somebody asked us, hey, can we do a workshop on how to change our oil? I'm like, sure, that's fine. Showing my support, showing my love, my empathy through my actions is what I strive to do every day. Not just for LGBTQ youth, but also for those families and those friends and those schools that want to support LGBTQ youth and people. Thank you.